Hello and welcome to Sell It Before You Build It session today. Today's training is really exciting because what it really teaches you is practical sales psychology that helps you translate your skills and expertise that you've put into packaging an amazing program or retreat or a service into actual sales and clients. And if you are anything like the amazing women I work with, highly skilled experts in wellness and health and well-being, you already know that you have the skills, you have the knowledge, you have the expertise and whatever it takes to transform other people's lives. Your skills and knowledge changes other people's lives. So you deserve to build a business that changes yours. And sales is that step. Sales is that translator that takes your skills, takes your expertise, and translates that into clients, into flow of revenue, and into actually transformation because you transform other people's lives with your skills. But for that to happen, you've got to have a sales process and you've got to understand what draws people towards you, towards your offer, and how you stand out with your offer. So today's session is really focusing on those high-end programs or events or retreats, most likely that women set themselves out to deliver and to design those experiences. And they put their heart and soul in creating those either coaching programs or retreats or events, and only to realize that the sales part of it is the heavy lifting, is that cringy part of their business that they don't enjoy. And often this is where they reach out to me for help. So today's session, I wanted to bring all those nuggets, all that wisdom of sales psychology that works to help you understand what might be missing in your business structure when you're designing your offers. So let's dive in today. Today's session is for wellness practitioners, health entrepreneurs, anyone who is into the health and well-being and who is tired of chasing clients, tired of chasing the next client and want to make more sales without having to push, chase, or having the pressure of persuading people. Um, Very quick show for practitioners who in the field, most likely you have been told that you need to build your offer first, perfect all the details, get all the bookings in the for the event, for the place, for the venue, build that offer if you're offering a coaching program or consultancy service, and you put all that effort to build, prepare, and get all everything sorted before you start promoting. I used to think this way until I realized this is the wrong way to build or sell your offer. This creates resistance. You spend a lot of time trying to perfect that experience, event, or service, only to realize that when you start looking for sales, you struggle to sell something that way. And the reason here being is because people don't decide to buy simply because of an offer being put together or just information. They decide when they recognize themselves in that desire, into that problem solving solution that you're bringing to them, into that future state. And this training shows you how to design that demand before you build your offer and how to pitch before you build, pitch, or push anything else. So let's dive in. Like I said, who's this for? This training is what is this and what is not. This is not a launch strategy. This is not another bright shiny object for you to learn. This isn't a funnel tutorial and isn't a confidence pep talk or self harder method. This is a sequencing fix. So we're going to look at what needs to be present in each offer so that you can guarantee attracting the right clients. This is a demand design outlook. So you need to look into this as a design, as a structure of how you can design your offer, but actually Remember, we're talking about selling it before you design it, and you'll get to understand what I mean by that in a very few minutes. And this is also a proven way to sell high touch work with calm and confidence. It's tested, it's proven, it's based on sales psychology, and it's out there. The people that are making the most conversion on their offers, they're using this exact system and model. So this is for you if you want to have more clients without chasing more, without learning more, without more of the tech tools and strategies. You want to understand the simple structure for designing that offer that attracts the right clients and does all the heavy lifting for you. What you'll learn today in this about 20 to 30 minutes training will cover how to create interest without explaining or overloading people, without having to spend long time over explaining what is it that your offer or experience does. This also you'll learn how to let the right clients pre-qualify themselves. Yes, pre-qualify themselves and guide decisions without chasing pressure or urgency tactics of like fear of missing out. Again, who is this for? This is for you if you offer a high touch service, programs or retreats, you know your work helps people and you are done guessing why sales feels inconsistent. You have tried and you haven't been able to really get the consistency of sales despite all the hard work, and you don't want to guess and try and error anymore. You want a cleaner, more grounded way to sell that feels like you. It's aligned and it feels right. The truth is that most offers don't fail at selling. They fail before they even build. And this is why today we're talking about sell it before you build it. I want this just to sink, just to pause for a minute, because it took me a while to shift my understanding and my concept. How do I sell something before I make it perfect? How do I sell an event before I have the venue booked, the catering, the speakers, and so on? How do I sell a retreat without having booked everything? How do I sell a program without having fully designed all the features and I've put all the details in that? Yes, you can. And it's actually the best way to sell something before you build it. Simply because as you're building, you are also getting that audience activated, you're getting that warming up your audience, and you not just building in silence, but you're activating and getting that interest and signaling from the audience. But we'll talk about this exact thing just in a minute. I want to also say that often people build their offers from their expertise, from their credibility, capability, or maybe they see what is being currently as a trend is selling, built from passion. They haven't built often. Women that come to me with an offer they struggle to sell, they've not built that from validated pain. They've just built it from their own perspective because they're really excited or passionate about delivering their service. They've seen the transformation themselves, or maybe there's a trend going on, especially with the retreats, and they put something amazing together only to realize that's not been validated from a specific their target audience, and they offer solution before they have created the desire, before desire is formed, which means they do all the heavy work and then they realize that all of that, when you put it to the market, it doesn't create that desire, or it's not, they haven't had the journey or the path for clients to know or to raise their hand and signal interest. So this is for you if you sell the solution before people recognize the problem. You only speak to the 5% who are already ready. There's this saying in business that 95% of our clients, our people that supposedly need our services, they're focused on the problem. They're problem aware. They are not solution aware. We have to navigate and draft that journey for them to move away from a problem aware customer with their pain and struggle to have that moment of realization that there is a better way and what is it that they need. And this is what we do through our backend system, building that client journey, but also with the front end, the way we design our offers. So if you sell the solution, if you're putting an offer out there with the outcome, with the perfect solution, you're thinking, but this should this should work. They're my ideal clients. Why they're not buying is simply because you are offering the right solution, but the timing for them is that they are not solution aware. They haven't had that realization and that desire to seek and buy that solution when it's positioned in front of them as a finished product, as a solution. Here you go, buy it. Only 5% at that level of ready to buy. And I'll explain this as we go into the models. So model one is designing. So what does that mean? I'm sure for you to have got to the point where you've launched your offer, not maybe one, many different offers, or a retreat or a program, you would have had the experience and the knowledge of what an offer is, right? So you're productizing your service, right? So why is it that selling the solution first creates resistance? You've put your offer out there, you've taken the time to perfect it, you've done a lot of the work, you've built a funnel, or maybe you have a website or build a sales page, and you've put a lot of effort. And right now you're thinking, okay, I've got the offer. Why nobody's buying? Because you are selling solution first, and that creates resistance. The difference between a standalone offer and a system. So this is one thing that many people miss as they prepare their offer. They prepare that offer as a standalone solution, and it's not plugged in any other steps to follow to that to make the solution or the process a natural flow or a natural next step for the client. And this is when you have a high ticket offer without a pre-step, without a pre-qualification, without anything to lead to that. You're just putting that offer in the market. Just yesterday, I was watching a lady pitching her retreat, and it was painful to watch how hard she was trying to explain the features and the rooms and the venue and the bed and how you should buy now because you will miss out. All those tactics are absolutely pointless when there's no pre-step or pre-qualification. You're trying to sell the solution to 95% people who are not even aware that that's the thing they desire. They're not going to go and buy the fancy bed. You've not been able to activate the desire in them to purchase that retreat. And what we do here, before we talk about desire, we talk about design, because the way to design your offer that can stand out and be chosen for people to reach out and buy from you is to sell the assessment first instead of the solution. And the best way to do this is by using a very simple landing page. I use a software called ScoreUp. ScoreUp, an amazing, very easy, user-friendly tool where you can design your own quiz, where that quiz actually helps your clients discover something about them. It now helps them navigate a certain discovery or certain aha moment, and helps them get closer to understanding what the retreat will do for them. So when you are the one who designs that quiz, you choose the appropriate questions, you guide people through answering few questions, and they end up with a personalized report about themselves. They discover something about themselves, but also this quiz take them a step closer to being pre-qualified or pre-warmed up to then have an offer given to them, which is your program or solution or event if you're selling one. So remember, if people haven't recognized the problem in themselves, they won't commit to the solution. So selling the assessment, which means designing a quiz-based funnel, has got so much more higher conversion rate, up 20 to 40%, which usual landing page or maybe your website or the sales offer, your sales page for your maybe program, it's got 2 to 4% conversion rate or click and engagement rate. I mean, so by actually using an engaging tool as like the quiz, you get that much higher rate of engagement where people go through the quiz, they get a personal report, you get their email address, so you can actually follow up and then build that trust and build that momentum for you to position your offer as a proposition further down the line. And by that time, they would have you'd have been giving them the tools and maybe resources to realize, okay, if you're talking about burnout, if you're talking about someone who's having a nervous system dysregulation, maybe busy professional, they don't go walk around thinking I need a retreat. Certainly, this is what they can benefit from. But by being able to get them through your quiz, they can pre assess themselves so they're in much better position of being more open to explore solutions to their problem because they would have seen themselves in the problem that you've been able to help them assess through a quiz. So, stage one in designing offer that sells is creating that space for your clients to see themselves, see the problem, recognize the problem, and then see potential solution in the offer that you have for them. So sell the diagnostic, sell the assessment, not the solution. This is the first step of designing your core high end offer because this actually pre-qualifies people for the next step which you're building. Model two is the desire. So often having complete a program design would be jumping to sell it. What happens in this moment? You need to be thinking, am I selling the ingredients? Have I listed the program agenda, what I'm delivering, what's happening during the program, all the features, all the benefits? Or am I selling the actual relief, the outcome, the end result? This is very, very important because when you sell relief, that is what people are looking for. When you sell ingredients, this is what people want to avoid. They don't want to know about what goes in the offer, what you're going to be teaching, what you're going to be letting them experience on a retreat. They want to know ultimately what those workshops you've planned or templates and tools and classes, what are they going to give them at the end? So you need to create that desire, shifting people from, explaining to attracting. This is what happens in this second phase of building your offer, learning how to attract people by connecting them to their relief, to the what they're looking for, and promising that, and knowing that you can deliver that, rather than promising them just the ingredients or the process of getting there. Why listing features increases overwhelm? Because simply someone, especially who is looking for maybe a business solution, or maybe they're just feeling in their life a moment where they're having to recover from trauma or from a loss or grief. They need that space, they need that solution, right? And when you go about selling your offer, your retreat, or your program by listing features, that feels more to them to process rather than it feels like overwhelm rather than relief. So you need to know the symptoms they're having. You talk to the symptoms, you know the deep pain that's causing those symptoms, and you sell the relief. This is really important. You're learning how to speak to the internal state, not to the agenda that you've put together for your program, event, or retreat. Because more value often kills desire. When you overload your program, it sounds more complex, it sounds like more work for them. And here, the key line we want to land is that people don't buy transformation, they buy permission to exhale. They come with a problem, they come with a pain. They've been holding themselves either in their business, in life, or whatever that might be, they might be struggling with. They are, yes, they're looking for the transformation, but they're not necessarily seeing that as transformation. They just want that pain to go away. And that's what we deliver, right? We deliver the transformation by learning how to sell your offer. That's a transformation. But what it really is your body having that freedom to exhale and feel like you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. That dream, that goal has come true. So this is for your clients too. You've got to be thinking, what is it that I am getting for them? What's the exhalation point? What's that moment? When you nail that, you have nailed the sale. So this was the model about desire, thinking from a pain point, thinking from symptoms and the cause of those symptoms. Your client is stuck there. They're stuck in their pain. They're stuck in that defensive mode and trying to cope, trying to survive a challenging time in their life. When you position your offer as that desire to them, what is it that they really desire? This is where you don't sell the features, you don't sell the benefits, but you sell that relief. And this is where the sales happens. Module 3 is about a decision. So ultimately, we're leading the people towards a decision. And what we want to get is an yes. How do we design the yes without chasing? Often, this part is where there is hesitation, and we feel, as the person who's selling that service, you might feel under the pressure of persuading, explaining more. And I want to point out one thing here for you, why people don't decide in public. Again, I'll refer to a recent advertisement I was watching, or promotion on social media, about someone who was promoting their retreat, and they were encouraging people to buy now, buy in public. You give value in public and you make sales in private, especially if it's a high end, especially if it's a program or a retreat. You want to instigate the interest. You want to get people to signal interest. So you create curiosity, you speak to the pain, you check in who else is feeling like this, and you work towards creating that desire in public. The decision, however, the last phase of the sale, happens in private. This is where you have the one-to-one conversation. And when I say one-to-one open conversation, the invitation here is to have an actual one-to-one conversation rather than having an open-ended conversations where someone inquires and you message back and they don't reply and you follow up with them again and you just check in, and becomes this back and front questioning, which positions you in a level where you're not really in control of the sale. You actually have lost that authority of leading the path, leading the decision. So that can cost you the sale. When you've followed up with them several times, you often lose the sale. What we're looking to get is to get a signal of interest. Someone raises their hand during the desire phase. You've got that interest, and you have that private conversation with the person so that you can get them to answer any questions and lead the decision, help them make the decision. And this is where chasing becomes a design flaw, not a sales flaw. You end up having that feeling of chasing only if you haven't designed your offer correctly. And what a clear decision path actually looks like here. Often I get asked this question. This is where you have a certain way of communicating with potential clients who have expressed interest. you have a invitation, you have a scheduled call, and it's done in a way that you stay in control of the conversation rather than, like I said, those maybe messages or switching between one social media to another, and you lose track and lose authority of the call, and that also just leads to losing the actual potential client. If you don't design the decision, you end up waiting inside it, and it's only you. If this has been of any benefit to you, like and comment in the comments. Drop a comment in the box, like the YouTube channel, and look out for the next one. And if you are an entrepreneur who is right now considering of launching, relaunching, or maybe putting a new offer out there, but you have this maybe fear or uncertainty, how do I make my sales flow? I would love to invite you to book a one-to-one private business audit session where we're going to check in your current offer. Could that be your high-end program? Could that be maybe your retreat that you have put together? And get a personalized feedback on what you've designed to check in. Do you have the design, desire, and decision structure in your offer to sell it before you build it? If you've built it, that's okay, because we can recheck and make sure you have all those pillars in your structure. Because when you have the design, desire, and decision elements in your offer, you don't even have to have the full offer perfected or the full retreat and all the features booked and arranged. You can start selling, and you'll see it's so much easier when you sell knowing how to design desire and how to create that desire, how to lead for a decision that takes people to say yes. My pleasure presenting this for you, and reach out and get that one-to-one session booked if you want to implement this in your offer and start seeing more yeses.